if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. Got a family at home, but this music is all I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CLT Life with your hosts, Jimmy and Wals, where a local realtor and hip-hop artist talk about everything Charlotte. We'll talk sports, entertainment, entrepreneurship, real estate. Really, nothing's off bars except politics and religion, because we're just not that kind of show. What's up, Walls?
Not much, man. Yeah, no politics, no religion.
We can talk about that stuff off the air, but
yeah, maybe that's a better way. Keep it offline.
Yeah. If you want to have those conversations, you can hit us up directly. So
please don't.
Please don't. Yeah, please don't.
I'm just kidding.
So this show is for Friday, the 16th of September. We're gonna talk. We got some stuff to talk about with the Carolina Panthers. They just had their first game.
Yeah.
Mixed results.
Yeah.
Mixed emotions on that one.
Well, the result was an L, but yes, the feelings are mixed because they did show glimpses.
Yeah, that was one of those games where watching it, it was not fun to watch the first half. It was like these Panthers again.
It didn't feel good.
It did not feel good at all. Especially we got McCaffrey healthy. We got a brand new quarterback. You think the offense is going to open wide, be wide open, and
right.
First play of the game, here comes Jadeveon Clowney from Rock Hill, not batting down passes, and it was a rough start for sure. But we'll get into that. We're gonna talk that game. We'll do a little preview on the Giants game as well, and just see where this conversation takes us.
Right. Sounds good to me, buddy.
All right. So what'd you think about that game last week? What are your key takeaways?
Key takeaways. The defense is supposed to be a strength, and I don't know. They just seem still a little soft in the middle. They have a hard time stopping the run up front. Now, granted, Cleveland has maybe the best running game.
Best duo of running backs in the league.
Best duo of running backs and possibly the best offensive line in the league. And you knew they were going to run a lot because, Jacoby Brissett is their starter. And he made some great passes. He was accurate. I thought he looked good, but you knew they wanted to run the ball a lot. So, the Panthers had a task on their hand, and it was tough. It was tough for them to stop the run, and that's been a problem or concern for a few years.
Yeah, I agree, especially with stopping the run game. I mean, they do have Nick Chubb, who they threw a stat up on the TV saying that he's got the second highest average per carry for a career in NFL history.
I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah, like 5.4 yards per carry.
Right. He two Nick Chubb runs is basically a first down.
Pretty much, yeah.
Unless you stack the box. And so that presented a problem, and it presents a problem for every team. But for the Panthers especially, we got new linebackers. So even behind Derek Brown and those guys up front, we got the linebackers coming in new to the system. And I guess it's just going to take time to get acclimated, but yeah, we just got to figure out a way to stop the run in general so that it takes some pressure off the rest of the defense.
Speaking of Derek Brown, I was thinking this yesterday too about how he's one of those guys. I mean, he takes up space, but you never really hear his name called that often.
You don't.
Is he like a Star Latulele, and we thought he was going to be like a K1 short, or was that a bust? Was that a wasted draft pick? Like maybe we should have gone. We had an opportunity to pick up a quarterback. From what I remember, there's some top quarterbacks a couple of years ago.
We always have an opportunity to pick up a quarterback, and that is another conversation that maybe we should have as well. But yeah, Brown he's a run stuffer. He should be a run stuffer. He's supposed to be a run stuffer. More like Latulele, I think, than KK, because KK could get to the quarterback. He could rush the passer from the nose tackle position. So. He was able to slip past. He had some moves. He could get past the centers and guard. He was more like Aaron. Yeah. He was more like Aaron Donald. Whereas Starr did a really good job of just pushing the line back and stuffing the run. Not so much pressure on the quarterback, but Starr also had a lot of talent.
Well, he had Thomas Davis behind him. He had Luke Kuechly behind him.
Exactly.
He had some guys
and flanking him on the end. He had Peppers. Johnson, Peppers for a bit. So, it's a different the makeup of the team is different, but Brown, we probably need more out of him, and we're gonna need other guys to step up.
Yeah. Well, back to this game. So we were down. I'm looking at the score right now, and in the second quarter, Cleveland outscored us 17-7. They were actually up 20-7, 23-7 at one point before we started this furious comeback and scored 17 points in a row. So we got out there, and the offense finally started clicking. We had some big plays. We had that long pass to Robbie Anderson.
Right.
We had that long pass to Ian Thomas, in the first half that set up that first touchdown. Mm-hmm. But we finally started clicking in the fourth quarter offensively, and it looked like we had the game won. We kicked the field goal that we thought was the game winner with about 1:20 left. And if you're playing Tampa Bay and Tom Brady's on the other side,
right,
and you're like, we gave Brady the ball back with a minute to go, we're going to lose this one. You give it back to Jacoby Brissett, and
you have hope.
You definitely have some hope. So, man, let's talk about those two calls. There was one call and one non-call that really, really, I think, affected the outcome of the game at the very end.
I agree.
So the first one was Brian Burns, our All-Pro, or at least Pro Bowl defensive end, was in a bull rush and basically overpowered the left tackle, pushed him back into Jacoby, and then at the last second threw up his left arm to try to deflect the pass as it was coming out. His arm didn't even touch the neck or head area. And according to the new rule this year, you actually can have some incidental contact without it being a penalty. But Jacoby went down hard. He got shaken up. I think it was just the speed and the power of Burns overpowering the tackle. And then the refs threw a ticky-tack flag that ended up being a 15-yard penalty and stopped the clock when Cleveland did not have any timeouts. They got the ball with 1:13. They were going to have to go, 25 plus 40 yards to get in the field goal range, and we gave them 15 and stopped the clock right there.
Right. That was the worst-case scenario for the Panthers in that situation. Burns, I was looking on Twitter and kind of got fans were getting on Burns saying he was sort of missing in the first half, MIA, but he turned it on in the second half. And on that play in particular, he made a great move, the bull rush, pushed the tackle back into Brissett. If anything, there was incidental contact as he was, and I don't even think it was his arm. It may have been his helmet. From the angle I saw, I couldn't really tell.
It didn't look like it.
It didn't look like it. It looked like the tackle, the Browns' tackle was pushed back into Brissett, and that was the contact. But needless to say, that was the worst thing that could happen for the Panthers at that time. And the refs sort of stood by the call after the game.
Yep.
They said it was unnecessary contact. Forcible contact to the head and neck area. And what can you do? Burns said he wasn't mad at the refs for the call, but deep down, that in a situation like that, you hate to leave it up to the refs, but that potentially was a game-changing play in that moment.
Yeah, and then as they got down towards the end, when they finally got into really long field goal range, because it ended up being a 58-yarder kicked by a rookie kicker. I mean, that's a big-time kick.
Big time. That's how stars are born.
Exactly. But they got down there, and then they didn't have any timeouts left, so they had to kill the clock. So they had to spike the ball, do that. But it looked like Brissett he took the snap, looked like he took a step back,
right,
and then threw it down at the ground and didn't cross the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Wasn't in the direction of a receiver, which by definition he's in between the tackles. That's intentional grounding. That should have been back him up and take 10 seconds off the clock, and then they got 3 seconds left to try to run out there. Right. That's a different ball game.
Line up, kick a field goal from almost 60 yards with a rookie. Yeah, it changed. That also, when you saw the flags come out, you're like, great, this is, get the runoff, push them back, lost it down, whatever the situation is, right? You feel good about that. And then when they picked it up and sort of said, we decided that taking a step back is still allowable.
They called the penalty, and then they
picked up the flag. They picked up the flag after the penalty, but said that taking a step back and then grounding the ball.
Why couldn't they have done that?
I thought that they said he faked like he was going to ground it or spike it and then spiked it, which I'm lost.
It didn't look
in
right.
that gray area.
When
It didn't
you
look
saw
right.
It did not look right.
It didn't pass the eye
It
test.
did not pass the eye test.
But the explanation seemed off too.
Right.
Because they said he faked and then so anyhow, the calls did not go our way.
Yep.
And I guess the lesson learned is don't leave it up to the refs. But it was a terrible performance through at least 2 quarters.
Yeah.
And really 3.
So let's shift gears real quick because we know we took the L on that one, 26-24. Let's do a quick little preview of this week's game coming up. We got the New York Giants. We go to the New York Giants. They were 21-20 winners over Tennessee this past week. They've got I believe they got a healthy Saquon Barkley back.
Right.
And their quarterback, Daniel Jones, is a local Charlottean. What do you see? How do you see that game going?
It's a winnable game for starters. It's a game that, normally I would say I would expect to win.
Yeah.
But under these circumstances, I don't know what my expectations are. I expect most games to be sort of a coin flip. And for, it to come down to a lot of field goals and hopefully not referees again, but
right.
late game plays. And hopefully we can be on the right side of those plays in the future, learn from this first game. And really what we need is to get off to a better start.
Right.
Maybe see how we do playing with a lead as opposed to being chasers, and having to come from behind. And no matter what Baker Mayfield said going into the game, he felt the pressure of playing against Cleveland,
right?
His former team, his former teammates, the sort of unceremonious way he was let go or traded.
And those Cleveland fans, a lot of Cleveland fans are Baker Mayfield fans too.
They are.
I was texting with a friend of mine who lives about an hour outside of Cleveland. They're big Browns fans, and they were like, they know about the shirts and all that we do too. And I'm sending her a Baker Mayfield Carolina Panthers T-shirt because she was pulling. She wanted Baker Mayfield to win the game,
to beat the Browns,
to have a good performance and to beat the Browns. But I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at the next 4 games, and we're 0-1 right now. I see us going. We could go anywhere from 2-2. We could probably go anywhere from 1-3 to 3-1 or 4-0 in the next 4 games if everything goes perfectly well. The Giants, they were close winners. We expect to be better than the Giants. The Saints. Saints lost to the Falcons, right?
No, the Saints actually pulled it out.
That's right.
Yeah, they did. The Saints pulled it out.
But that's a home game. That's probably a 50-50 toss-up. Cardinals, that's a home game for us as well. Cardinals are supposed to be better than us, but they got blown out yesterday by the Kansas City Chiefs also.
Right. And then we beat the Cardinals most recently. We beat the I want to say Cam beat the Cardinals in Arizona a couple years ago. And I believe we were underdogs in that. Well, I don't know if the line we were underdogs, but I think the Cardinals were supposed to win, and Cam went in and beat them.
Yeah, and then you got the 49ers, who you expect the 49ers to be good as well, but they didn't perform too well yesterday against Chicago's adverse conditions. It was a rainy day there. So
yeah, what I've been thinking about, because I've been playing DraftKings with a group of guys, 12, 15 people. Just doing the DraftKings pool or whatnot, and one thing that dawned on me this year, because I didn't prepare very well, I hadn't looked at a lot of stats, research, depth charts, and so forth to figure out exactly who I want to go with. I'm not playing fantasy football aside from DraftKings, so I'm doing
a pick'em league is all I'm doing right now, and I might do some DraftKings or something.
I didn't even do pick'em. I'm only doing DraftKings right now. I didn't even do pick'em. I didn't do a survivor pool. But my point is, what I thought about was the teams who are doing the best are the teams with the most continuity year over year, and so
especially at the beginning of the season.
Especially at the beginning of the season.
Week 1, even though it counts on the record, is essentially replacing.
Preseason.
It's preseason.
It's preseason.
Last year, We saw what happened with the Green Bay Packers.
Exactly.
It happened again this year.
Exactly.
They scored like one touchdown, and then
They got blown out by the Saints last year.
Yeah, and then
Vikings.
Aaron Rodgers ends up being MVP, and then yesterday they lose to the Vikings.
Right, and so the teams with the most continuity year over year, and I think some of that is head coach, quarterback, top receiver, top running back, and even offensive coordinator or coordinators. Do you have all those people still in place? Because we saw what happened to the Patriots. Mm-hmm. The coordinator issues, who's going to call plays. Mac Jones goes down. It was tough. We saw Aaron Rodgers. They said he was off doing drugs all season. Ayahuasca, doing acid and shrooms and doing psychedelics all season. And they no Devontae Adams, which is a big loss.
That's a big loss, yeah.
And so Joe Burrow, he's coming back from having a surgery late in the offseason, and so that's an adjustment. The 49ers struggled. The whole quarterback controversy, couldn't trade Garoppolo. Now you got Trey Lance, young guy. So continuity is a big factor, I think, and it's really underrated when we start trying to predict these games, especially these early games, like you said.
Right.
We should probably think about, who has the most continuity, and the Giants may have more continuity than we do right now. Because Baker's come in and learned the offense pretty well, everybody says, but it's still a new situation, some kinks to work out. I still say it's a winnable game. Daniel Jones is prone to turnovers.
Yeah. Well, before you give us a number, let's take a quick break.
Sure.
And then on the other side, we'll come back. We'll get those predictions. And then we're going to head into the Real Estate Minute. And we'll see you on the other side.
It don't matter if it's first class or buddy pass. Private jet, the coordinates to the island set. The drink's cold and the water on the island's wet. Behold, the prettiest scene your eyes have met. I can tell you wanna spend the week in Cozumel. Appetizer, put it in your mouth like I can nail. Aphrodisiac, the moistures on the half shell. We live good, we love a lot. We laugh well, relax well. We listening to Maxwell. Woman's work, pretty wings through the bad spells. We outcasts, baby, you can be my Jazzy Belle. Oh yes, I love her like Egyptians, it never fails. We can play anywhere that you wanna play, babe. 'Cause we can be anywhere in a day, babe.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the CLT Life with Jimmy and Wals. And we've been talking Carolina Panthers football. We've got a game coming up this weekend against the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. So let's make those predictions. Last week, both of us predicted a Panthers win. Right. I think you said 21-17. I said 23-17. Right. Ended up being a 26-24 loss, so we weren't too far off.
No.
So give me your prediction. Is it going to be a win? Is it going to be a loss? And what's the score going to be?
It's got to be a win. It's got to be a Panthers win. I think the defense finds a way to turn the Giants over, specifically Daniel Jones. He's prone to turnovers, like we were saying going into break. And so we turn him over, which we didn't really do yesterday very much. I don't even know what the turnover margin was.
Turning over the you talking about how many times we turned over Tennessee last week?
Cleveland.
Cleveland last week. Did we have a pick? We had some pass breakups.
Brissett had no interceptions, and I don't think we had any fumble recoveries. So
we're due then, right?
Yeah, we're definitely due. And we got playmakers. We got Chin, Burns, and Shaq, and Horn. We want to see Horn, JC make plays. Dante Jackson. We got guys who can make plays. Luvo, Frankie, he
had a good game.
Yeah. He's all around, flying around the field like Troy Polamalu or something, making sacks and behind the line of scrimmage and, flying around in the secondary. So anyway, we have players, and the system has proven that it's okay. It works. I think we turn the Giants over. we improve, because Saquon's not a slouch either. You know, he's up there with as far as a pure runner.
Yeah.
He's up there with Chubb.
Yeah, he's tough. He's a
tough.
traditional running back.
Yeah, he is, and he can catch out of the backfield. Yeah, he can do it all. You know, he may be even more versatile than Chubb, but
and these guys have such a great low center
of gravity. Yeah,
both of them have tree trunks. You know,
yeah, they've got
tree
those
trunk legs.
Yeah,
Huge.
Yeah. So, but I think Panthers.
Panther win. Wait, don't tell me the score yet.
Panthers win.
Panthers win. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna say Panthers win as well. On the count of 3, I want us to both say what the score is gonna be. All right. Panther win.
Let's see.
I'm gonna be bold. So you got it. You got it. Pick a number. All right, let's go with it. Count of 3. Just say it.
All right.
1, 2, 3. 38-17.
Yeah.
What? We did not discuss this at all. Wow.
Yeah.
So you see us putting up some points too.
Yeah, I can see
think
it.
so.
I see we probably got some
Breakout
game, pin up frustrations.
Yeah.
You know, we want to take out on somebody, and why not the Giants?
It's not the home crowd. It's
not right. Let's embarrass them
pressure.
at home.
Let's embarrass them. So come on, Panthers. If y'all are listening, any Carolina Panthers out there listening, we got to take them to the woodshed this week.
Please.
All right.
And if not, and really keep this in mind. You know, we start off this season 0-2. Matt Rule's got to be on the hot seat. There at some point, Tepper's not going to let him lose forever.
Right.
He's fired all the coordinators he can fire. You know, the next head on the block is his own.
Yeah.
So Matt Rule needs a win as much as anybody in the organization.
Yeah, we gotta. So I said a minute ago that the next 4 games I feel like are winnable. Then we're at the Rams on the road. That's a tough one. We're against Tom Brady and the Bucs. That's a tough one. At the Falcons, on paper, we should be better than Atlanta, but it is on the road. It's a rivalry game. And then at Cincinnati, that's the Super Bowl runner-up from a year ago. So we got a winnable slate of games the next 4 weeks, and then we have a tough quarter, week 6 through 9. So hopefully we can get through. I think if we get through that with like 4 or 5 wins, I think I'm optimistic for the second half of the season. I said early on that we were going to be 10-7, so we'll see.
Yeah,
see how it goes.
500 or better would be a
At the halfway
success. Well, overall this season would be a success.
Yeah.
At the halfway point, you definitely want to be at least 500.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be injuries. Other teams will have injuries. You know, you'll see where you're at after a quarter half of the season. But you want to be 500. If you're under 500, looking at the second half of the season with the Ravens and Broncos, Steelers who pulled out a win, Bucks and Saints again, you know, it could be tough.
No game in the NFL is an easy win.
Easy wins.
All right, well let's change the subject a little bit. So we talk about sports, obviously, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and real estate. Real estate, that's my background, and you got a background in real estate as well. Let's talk about what's going on in the real estate market here in the Charlotte area. A couple things. One, and I'm not going to get into all the stats. If you actually are interested in the statistics and what's going on, you can reach out to me directly. You can follow my real estate page on Instagram at Jimmy Grappone Realtor. You can contact me directly there through my website. But what I want to talk about, instead of just the specifics, is more like the trends and what's going on in this real estate market. So anybody who has bought a house, was a buyer or a seller, or has been keeping up with what's been going on the past couple of years, home values just skyrocketed. There was a ton of appreciation over the past 2 years, and that has kind of flattened out a little bit. We're getting to the point right now where I'm working with buyers that I've actually been able to negotiate on their behalf to get the house under what the asking price was, and haven't been able to do this really for the last year and a half, because most of the time when my clients find a house that they're interested in, I'm coming to them and saying, all right, we're making this offer, but they've got a few other offers as well.
Gotta go over asking.
Yeah, you gotta. My advice in that scenario, when it's a multiple offer situation, is, what's the number that if you feel like you made this offer and you didn't get it, then somebody else was just crazy, stupid, like you can have it. I was never going to pay that amount. You can have it. I'm not going to be upset about it. And that's kind of the approach. So it is refreshing.
That's a good thought.
As somebody who works with buyers and sellers, it is refreshing to have that opportunity to be able to negotiate again a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun of it all, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few things that I think everybody, three things that I think everybody needs to be aware of, or three things that if you're a home buyer, three things that we got to know and got to do. One is how much house can you afford?
Right.
So how much house can you afford? How much house are you comfortable paying? So that's the first step. Whenever I meet with a buyer, we always talk about that first. And I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a mortgage lender.
Yeah.
So what I do is I've got, people that I work with all the time. I got relationships and partnerships, and I put them in touch with that lender. First off the bat, we got to get them pre-approved. Number two is, what are you looking for and where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Location.
Yeah,
location is all, and location again.
Yeah.
Is always a huge thing in real estate. And then, we got to figure out what can you live with and what can't you live with.
Yeah, you might have to make some concessions, on your wish list.
So that's kind of how the real estate market is trending right now. So it is for buyers, it's an opportunity finally to be able, like I said, to be able to negotiate.
Yeah.
For sellers, homes are still holding value right now. Though I've seen some trends that say we could finally end up shifting into a buyer's market by this time next year, which means we'll have 6 months of inventory, which we haven't had that. I got in real estate in this market in 2013. That's the last time we had 6 months of inventory.
Wow.
I got in the game, and then all of a sudden, houses were flying off the shelves.
Man, you picked the right time.
I did pick the right, or maybe it's cause and effect. I don't know which one it is, but
you shifted the game.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah. Anybody has any questions about real estate? Always, you can reach out to me directly. Like I said, I gave you my Instagram, Jimmy Grappone Realtor. You can also call or text me at 704-313-8514. And Walls, I want to talk for a minute about what you do. What's your hustle?
Yeah. So I got a lot of hustles. Jack of all trades, maybe master of none. Maybe I'm a master at a few things, but right now I've got an album on the way called "These Are the Good Days." It's been about a year in the making. I didn't plan on it taking so long. I was really just going to release an EP, but the content kept coming, the ideas kept coming, and really what I did is I just had about 25 instrumentals that I was interested in, and I just went and started writing all of them and sort of sifted through them and came up with about 17 or 18 tracks that I liked a lot. And so
how many are going to be on the album?
I think it's 17.
Oh, wow.
I think, and there's some interludes and some other stuff going on. But yeah, I think there's 17 solid tracks, and it's just about, these are the good days. I think sometimes, especially with COVID, coming off the heels of COVID, we've sort of taken for granted that these are the only days that we get.
Yeah.
So we get caught up in all of the bad news that's going around, which is understandable because we lived through a pandemic. I had a baby during the pandemic,
I did
so
too, yeah.
You're bringing babies into a crazy world, and it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but you got to realize that this is all the time they would get. So I wanted to take a step back and focus on the good and say these are the good days, no matter what you're going through, what's going on around you. If internally you can sort of be content in that peace and feel like every day that you wake up, you've got an opportunity to do something great, then that's good.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about your music is that you describe yourself as a middle-aged dad.
Yeah.
Rapping about life.
Right.
And it's relatable. I don't care who you are.
Right.
It's relatable.
And if you're not there yet, hopefully you'll get you'll be middle-aged. Whether you're a parent or not, that's up to you. But, if you're lucky, you'll get to be middle-aged, and you'll see that life goes on, and you still want to have a good time and enjoy life and do things that bring you joy. And you have to cherish all the days that you get, including the bad days. And we sort of get into all that on the album. Some great production. Got a good engineer here in Charlotte, Danny Hurley, helping me out. So, coming soon.
Love it. Can't wait for it to come September 23rd, right?
September 23rd is my single, Anywhere. And then the album will be shortly after that.
Sounds good. Well, everybody, thanks for listening to our show this week. This has been the CLT Life with Jimmy and Walls. Make sure to come back next week, every Friday at 7:30 a.m. on WDRB Media, the voice of the community.